Thanks for joining me for another Flashpoint paint tutorial. Today we're knocking out our last elite, this time in gold. We'll start out spraying Magenta as our shadow tone. We'll move into a base of orange-brown. We're going to apply this lightly over our magenta areas as well, as it should help to shade it down into a darker tone. Over to the painting desk, we'll apply an all-over coat of Army Painter Light Tone. We want to bring out all of those details, but we also want to avoid shifting our color down too far from the yellow base. With all those flat panels and surfaces, we'll want to be sure to wick off our brush and remove any excess wash, especially as we're working with a much lighter color than we normally have been. With our wash dry, we'll mix up some orange brown and golden yellow to create our first highlight. We want to be pretty aggressive with this on the plasma sword side of the body, so when we apply our glow effect, it has something to play off of and help it pop. Now we'll switch to pure golden yellow. Again, we want to be aggressive with this on the plasma sword side, as we'll be treating that as our primary and very close light source. You still want to apply this to the other side of the model, but more reserved and mainly as a edge highlight. Working that highlight even more, I'm mixing in a little bit of white blue with my golden yellow. This is all but exclusively to the plasma sword side of the model, and in areas where we really want to show light reflecting off of it. At this point, it's time to tackle the undersuit. To do that, we're going to apply dark neutral gray to all of the bodysuit sections of the model. Base coat on the bodysuit done, I'm going to mix in neutral gray to create our first highlight tone for the rest of the bodysuit. Now, as with our previous models, that we've got that first highlight done, we'll go straight to the neutral gray for our second highlight on the bodysuit. Much like with the armor, I'm going to mix in a little bit of white blue with my neutral gray just to get a third level highlight. I want to keep this close to the plasma blade, but I do spill over onto the sides of the fingers just a smidge to kind of pronounce them. Now we're going to tackle the plasma sword. To do that, we're going to apply sky blue, just a nice thin coat, make sure it's nice and even and smooth so that we can work with it later when we add our lighting effects. With the sword painted, we're going to thin out that sky blue on our palette down to a glaze, and we're going to use that to apply some of our highlights again on the plasma sword side of the body, just to reinforce this glow effect. Now that our blade is dried up, we're going to go over to white blue again. We want this very thin and have a very fine point on our brush. We're going to apply just a lightning bolt looking effect, just kind of some squiggly lines down the length of the blade on all sides, just to imply that energy is arcing through the blade. Typically, I would talk about basing your base out, drab earth, and then applying wash, yada yada. But I had done that already in preparation to paint this model, so at this point we're just going to apply the dry brush of drab earth and make sure we work it up the bottom of the legs to ground them into a space. With the dry brushing applied, I'm going to go ahead and switch back to sky blue. Now I'm going to go in and hit all the little lights that glow off of the armor. I did this after the dry brushing because I want those to pop out against the dirt that's built up on his legs. Next, I'm going to use a very thin mixture of neutral gray and golden yellow. I want to just kind of bring the tone of it down a little bit, and working very thin with a fine point brush, we're going to use this to apply scratching and weathering effects to the armor. If you want a more pristine looking elite, just skip this step. Now it's time to see if our work on this glow effect is paid off. Using Army Painter Air Paint Blue Flux, I'm going to apply a very thin coat in short, controlled burst across the side of the model that we want to see the glow coming off of. Alright, our glow effect applied. I'm going to switch back to the thin down sky blue, and I'm going to use this with a fine point brush just to apply some to the very edges of the hard edges of the armor, just to emphasize that glow off of them a little bit more. I'm also going to grab a dry brush, and I'm going to hit the ground around the elite's feet underneath the plasma sword to suggest the light shining down there. Going back to our thin down white blue and a fine point brush again, we're going to go back and reinforce those lightning bolts coming off the plasma blade. Always rim that base in the color of your choice. My personal favorite is black. For some finishing touches, I'm going to apply Army Painter Mountain and Scorched Earth Tufts to the base, and then apply a light dry brushing, a heavy dry brushing to the Scorched Earth Tuft to make it look as if it is reflecting some of that glow light as well. And here we are. This is the last of our elites and the end of my Spartan box painting. I have another Recon edition I'm going to paint for a friend, but we'll see what I do with that as far as content goes. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it useful, please hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so. I'm hoping to get some battle reports up in the near future, and thanks for watching.